Hey guys, so I don't usually make videos like this. This is not really my style. I don't like to kind of pile on. I've seen a couple other creators make videos sort of talking about their thoughts on the new league, and I figured, I think what's said has already been said. I don't really need to kind of add anything to it. I quietly nod and agree, and sort of just keep trucking on. But I wanted to talk through this balance what we're working on post that just came out not too long ago. By the time this video is going up, it'll have been up probably a few hours at least. I wanted to talk through this because I really think this is kind of a problematic post in the sense that it really doesn't address the issues that I think the community, from what I'm gathering, is facing when it comes to this new league. So let's kind of walk through this one by one here. And it's not to say this doesn't do anything, this post, but I just think they're just not hitting on it. They're not hitting on the notes. So Arch Nemesis, large jump in difficulty from the campaign to early maps. We're going to taper this up more smoothly and is unmodified in red maps. I feel like this doesn't really address a lot of the problems because, I mean, speaking from personal experience, it's like the mods don't get any less frustrating when you get into red maps. It's certainly more frustrating when you're in white and yellow maps and you're kind of like your gear is not prepared to handle these really intense mods. But that doesn't make them less frustrating in red maps when the mods on the maps get harder. I really don't feel like this addresses the problem at all. They just continue to double, triple, quadruple down on these Arch Nemesis mods. I feel like this is like a band-aid and like half a band-aid real solution. But it really doesn't address the issue from my perspective. It helps a little bit early, but it doesn't really help at all at the end, especially when you're really starting red maps, when that difficulty ramps up significantly. I don't think this is going to solve that problem, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it looks from the early game perspective. But it's like I'm already in red maps here, and I'm annoyed with the red map mods. So it's kind of like I don't really think this does much. But anywho, next, harvests. Players have commented the quantity of life force yielded is too low relative. They're going to scale up the amount that it yields, and also they're addressing the fact that sometimes no life force is dropping. That's definitely one of the complaints right now, but. I was watching Subtractum's recent video, and I haven't even scrolled through the Harvest Crafts really because I've just been kind of like, I read what was available, and I was like, I don't think I want to farm this. And I saw how much was dropping, and I was like, okay, now I definitely don't want to farm this. But it's like things like enchants are like 12,000 life force or something. It's ridiculous. Like the costs of the harvest need to be addressed too. It's like just raising the quantity up an increment is not going to even be enough because you used to get the enchants along with 35 other, reforged fires, reforged colds, whatever, all in one round of harvest, 3-4 plants. This just doesn't even come close to addressing that. It's, they need to be way cheaper to compensate. And I don't think scaling this up even 10 times is going to make that number like even close to what it would have been in the past. So I don't think this really addresses the problem at all. Lake of Kalandra, we are increasing the rewards from both league and non-league encounters, particularly at higher map level difficulties. I mean, that's good. That's definitely something I think this is the one point that I think more or less addresses the issue with the league mechanic. They're just making it more rewarding. Great. Sounds good. General item drops. Now, this one is a bit of a read here, but to kind of walk through it, they said there's two things here. There's two things that changed. The first is the rate of encountering rare monsters. We knew this is reduced, so we kind of figured that's probably part of the reason why. They said it's partially offset by these new rewards, but that does not seem to be fully the case at all. The second reason is remove the massive historic bonus to item quantity and or rarity that applied to some league-specific monsters, replaced with moderate 2 to 3 times item quantity to offset that they have more life, and some cannot drop maps. I don't really... was this ever mentioned before? I don't think this was mentioned before. I'm not exactly sure what this looks like in reality, but the reality is that loot just feels bad right now. It just feels bad. It's like even if it's not bugged, even if they're saying there's nothing that they're knowing that affected rewards, it feels bad, and that's a problem to address. It's I feel like kind of doubling down again here on this doesn't really solve the problem, but on the same note here, they're taking, I guess, kind of baby steps towards fixing that thing. So we're going to compensate elsewhere. We don't want to just increase our numbers. Most items are immediately filtered out. We want to increase the number of relevant drops. I completely agree with that. I think that makes sense. First, they're adjusting the system SKUs, so it's higher level base types. Okay. Secondly, we are going to apply the item consolidation approach we did to act bosses. If you leagues go to map bosses, they're now drop fewer items, but of substantially better rarity. I mean, this change that the map bosses or the act bosses, map bosses change. I mean, as you all may or may not remember, they did do this change a couple leagues ago, and the change was so negligible. Like they were saying, oh, you can actually viably farm act bosses. That really was not true. So I don't really know about this one. I mean, I think map bosses, honestly, relative to the rest of the instances, do drop better loot already. So I guess it'll be good to do that. Unique items are really not as big of a problem from my view. I feel like the issue that I'm running out of is just small currency. Small currency items are a problem. Like I'm running out of alks constantly. I've just finally hit a place where I'm have an okay number of alks, but that's only because I ran a ton of other non-map content to try and build up my pool. Like I ran a couple heists. I actually had a couple good alk drops from the Lake of Kalandra encounters. So I'm sitting at an okay pool now, but it's like for long time I was sitting on very few, and it's just these small currencies impossible to get right now. And I think partially it's because of the dichotomy of coming out of Sentinel League where we had so much currency dropping, but also because I think you saw, if you've seen MP's clip, if you haven't, I suggest go take a look on his channel. But basically it's like there's just not as much loot dropping on the ground, period. And it's like, you can tell me that there's no bug, that could certainly be true, but it feels bad, and I think a lot of people are experiencing this, so it needs to be addressed. I know this is a little rambly, a little all over the place, and this is not sort of video I normally make. Like I said, I don't usually like to pile on here, but I was hoping that these were going to be addressed in a more meaningful way, and I don't know if this balance, what we're working on post, really does it. Granted, GGG has always been open to adjusting and making changes, so I'm hopeful that they will make these changes, but I don't think this is enough. I really don't think this is enough. I also think, making these changes over the next few days, that's all well and good, but it's really tough because it's, people are going to drop off from this. It's just the way it is. And I get that, they want to make informed decisions, but I feel like, and you don't want to obviously just listen to the loud, the loud minority rather, but I really feel like a lot of people who don't usually enter into this conversation, myself included, have felt the need to, because this is just somewhat extreme. But yeah, I just wanted to give my take. I am going through the same frustrations that you all may or may not be. If you're enjoying the league, that's fantastic. I don't hate the league, for the record. I don't hate it, but I just think there's a lot of issues, bigger issues than we've had in the past, this league. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.